So this morning, my family went out to learn how the Harris family harvest potatoes.
Oh, when we got there, I was just like, oh, it's wet and it's cold and this is not gonna be fun.
We always get a little nervous this time of the year when you see heavy rains like that come and heavy rains in the forecast. And we have experienced it, and when those rains start, they don't stop.
What have I gotten my family into?
Oh well, this will be an adventure. Let's see what happens.
Our family moved to this area in 1896. Our children that are on the farm today would be the sixth generation on this farm.
We started growing organically in the early 90s, so we've been at it for over 20 years.
We plant potatoes as soon as the fields are dry enough in the spring. Once the potatoes have reached maturity, we will chop the tops off, and this will kill the top growth of the plant. And when the skin sets, which usually takes 3 weeks, they're usually ready to harvest.
There were like potatoes flying everywhere. It was crazy. They're coming at you on a conveyor belt and then they go like up this big thing and then like shoot down onto the truck beside you. Muddy too, very muddy.
So we headed over to the washing station, which is where all the potatoes are processed. You get them off the truck and then they kind of go through this spinning thing where the water all goes through, gets all the mud off. And then what we did is we actually went up and we were picking the rocks and the bad potatoes out from this conveyor belt that brought them past us.
The potatoes just start coming flying down the lines. It was almost stressful.
I actually found it fun. Keanu and I were having a bit of a competition, so to see who could get the green potato or the one that would be rejected.
And then they went to more checks, more sorting them from size. From there they packaged them either into boxes or into bags.
I think having a good local food source is important. We're not relying on other countries and areas to provide our fresh local food. You know, we're just getting into our harvest season, but you look at the forecast and they're calling for an inch of rain for the next consecutive 5 days. But a forecast like that is kind of scary because it turns from being very dry to the ground being completely saturated.
And it becomes impossible to dig your potatoes out of the ground. It becomes a mud pit, so you can't get your equipment in and out.
So climate change models are predicting that we're likely to see more variability in weather patterns. We may see longer, drier summers. We also might see increased precipitation in the spring and the fall.
And I think as farmers, we need to understand that if this is happening, that we have got to start adapting to these changes in our climate. In 2010, we experienced very heavy fall rains. And it was a tough year that year because at the end of the day, we probably end up leaving 80% of our crop in the ground.
So we're working with Brent Shelley on a project looking at drainage, specifically how drainage might change farmers' ability to adapt to climate change.
A lot of our soils were formed from the ocean receding, and we have very high background salinity levels in the soil.
Drainage improves the capacity of the farmer to move salt out of the field.
If you're not draining this stuff out, you're gonna drown your crops and then, you know, you can't grow anything there. So it's kind of important.
Getting to know multiple generations today was amazing too, and hearing their stories and things that they've gone through, the whole process. I just feel more connected to what's going on, what the farmers are doing, what they're doing for us.
Well, when we moved here, we knew there was farmland, but not really paying attention to what was happening. I wasn't really aware of the fact that so many of the different crops, not just potatoes, but beans and a number of the different crops that the Harris family grows, they were available right there in our local grocery stores. So it's neat to know where our food comes from. I'm proud to know that our local community is growing food that we get to put on our tables and eat. I'm proud of that.